Hi, I'm Julie Cooper, a writer of mysteries and thrillers with mostly military settings. I've just completed the third in a series, and I'm also a longtime reader of mysteries of all kinds, so we'll have lots to share with you on our podcast. First, I wanted to give credit for our wonderful intro music to my brother, Chris Squires, for his original composition called The Man in the Panama Hat.
Hi, I'm Wendy Kendall, Kendall and Cooper, and I lean towards the cozy mysteries, but Julie and I meet in the middle because we both love the whole genre. Today's theme is ghost stories and mysteries that are worthy of Halloween because we're podcasting just a few days before Halloween, and that puts me in the mood for treats. And by that, I mean treats of the mysterious and ghostly kind. The mystery genre is broad and stretches out to include the paranormal. A paranormal mystery is a mystery that contains paranormal elements, either in the protagonist or in the society. This includes anything from witches, angels, demons, werewolves, vampires, psychics, mediums, and ghosts. And maybe one of the reasons I love these stories, besides the exciting chills they give me, is that besides the Gothics, actually paranormal mysteries are often much like cozy mysteries that take a ghostly twist. They take place in small towns with a community of people who know each other well, and they're confronted with an unexpected and jarring mystery. And our guest today knows lots about community ghost stories. She's authored books that reveal histories and hauntings of towns. The chilling stories both intrigue and entertain. We're talking with Deb Cuyle and her
Kyle.
Kyle. I'm sorry.
Kyle!
That's okay.
It's my East LA accent getting in the way.
Nope, it's all good.
Deb's newest book is Haunted Snohomish. We met recently at a table with a different kind of spirits at the Snowtown Brewery in the little town of Snohomish. Welcome, Deb.
Welcome, girls.
Deb, I love both history and architecture, so I'm really looking forward to this interview with you. For me as a
Good.
writer, it sometimes feels like buildings have a spirit or a personality of their own. So I've got a lot of questions for you. First, how important is the description of setting to a ghost story?
I think it's very, very important. A writer needs to capture that mood in the room, capture the eeriness of the lighting, the smells, the temperature in the air. All these things allow the reader to feel like they are waiting in fear for that next ghostly hand to touch them. When I think of paranormal experiences that I've had, I always remember the way the air felt first. It's like static electricity. The hairs go up on the back of my neck. I know for certain something is about to happen, whether I want it to or not.
So since hauntings are often discovered through sensory input, other than sight, that is, how challenging did you find that in writing Haunted Snohomish?
I didn't find it hard at all, girls. Many people had creepy photographs they wanted to share, but the evidence is really hard to see in a tiny picture, which is what I have in my book. Orbs have become so common that people really don't find them fascinating anymore. I am a firm believer in just because we can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. With all these ghost hunter series, I feel the public almost demands proof of the afterlife or that ghosts exist. But what I found fascinating is that all the people I interviewed, every single person had a story to tell, some sort of personal experience. And whether they were a believer of ghosts or not, they all had experienced something.
And I really liked your idea to weave some history of Snohomish in with the stories. Did you struggle finding a balance between history and haunting? Was that an issue for you?
No, not at all. The two go hand in hand. History creates the ghost and the legend. It almost creates the proof that people seek. Several times I was even surprised myself to hear, a local ghost story or some legend from somebody. And then when I was actually doing the research in old newspapers, I would actually find the murder or the accidental death that they were speaking of. And I really find it hard to believe that, they went through all the thousands and thousands of pages that I went through to find it. So I love that. I really tried to make this book kind of a mixture of ghost stories combined with a local history. That way anybody could enjoy it, whether they believed in ghosts or not, whether they believed in hauntings. The incredible team at the Snohomish Historical Society has so much to offer. I mean, just rooms full of stuff that we were able to go through. I only went through a very small portion of it. It was so interesting and so time-consuming. It's really a great thing.
Oh, and I love research. So, Deb, are
Me
you
too.
really a history buff at heart?
You have no idea. I can stay up till 6 a.m. reading newspapers, internet, researching. When researching Snohomish, I really zoomed in on the historic photographs, and I was thrilled each time that I found just the tiniest detail that people hadn't taken the time to see. You know, a small building address on a piece of cardboard stuck in the window, or, you know, the shape of a storefront, and then I'd go and compare that to the same building today. I often, you know, walk the town taking pictures of doors, windows, frames, the side of buildings, markings, tiles, whatever catches my eye. And I always wonder who laid those old bricks, you know, who tiled those detailed names, who did these things. It doesn't seem like anybody's really, you know, documented that. When I feel the old doorknobs, I think of the thousands and thousands of people who've opened these doors over the last 100 years. You know, I look at the old hardwood floors in the Oxford and this and that, and they're the same, you know, from the buildings from way back then. I wonder who's walked on them. You know, what was their story? I don't think people today really take the time to stop and think of these people, you know, the ones who struggled and sacrificed to build Snohomish and a lot of other small towns. You know, they had to encounter a lot of diseases and hardships. Buildings of the roads, building of the railroads, floodings, I mean, all these things. I really appreciate that Snohomish has worked very hard to protect First Street and historic buildings because they're just amazing.
Ah, and it sounds like if only walls could talk. But did you
love it? I wish.
Oh, me too. Did you grow up hearing ghost stories, and how did you research them?
For this book, I put a lot of calls out for stories between, you know, locals, internet, different paranormal sites, different ghost sites, all that stuff. But everywhere I went, I seemed to bump into someone who had a great story to tell. So it really just all came together once I put it out in the universe.
Ah, it sounds like people were really willing to share.
Yes.
Great. Have you yourself ever experienced a supernatural experience or haunting in person? And is there a ghost that you'd like to experience or really try to communicate with?
I've experienced strange phenomena as far back as I can remember, really too many to tell. I did have a near-death experience, and after that it was really easy for me to tap into this. I've helped a lot of local people deal with loss of loved ones, suicides, lost persons, that type of thing. And I'm actually writing a book with these documented sessions. It's very, very fascinating. Stuff that even the people have forgotten has happened comes through from this person that they want to talk to. It just blows my mind every time. But anyway, so the sender's personalities come through too, which is, I think, pretty incredible. You wonder, when you die, what happens? Do you keep your personality? If you're grumpy, do you stay grumpy? If you're, you always just wonder. But that it's very fascinating to me. If I think I'd like to communicate with some of my old friends that have passed away too soon. I can do it, but I have not done it yet. I don't know why.
Okay. And I'm going to turn it over to Wendy because I know she's has a lot of questions.
Thanks,
as well.
Julie. Thanks, Julie.
Well, hey, Deb, I was just wondering, if you yourself could haunt anywhere, where would you choose, and why would you choose that place?
Easy answer, Wendy. Snohomish.
Maybe
I love this town.
You can't leave that Snowtown Brewery. That's what it is.
I think I'd probably do the Rep or the Oxford. That's probably my two. Yeah, I'd become one of those spirits in my book that never wants to leave. And I hope 100 years from now, I'm playing ghostly tricks on the locals, just like they're doing today. Hopefully, making them think about everything, just like they're doing right now.
Lovely.
Very nice. Hey, Deb, would you give us a reading from your Haunted Snohomish book so we can really get a taste of what your writing is?
Absolutely. I really try to make this a mixture, girls. It's not just paranormal. It's not just ghosty stuff. It's also a lot of the history that has not been explored or disclosed. There's not a lot out there about the history of Snohomish, and it's incredibly fascinating. So I went through a lot of police records, a lot of local newspapers, all kinds of stuff. This is a fun one that I really like. It really puts things in perspective. This is from the late 1800s. One interesting first case found in Snohomish County records is against a Jacob Brem, who was charged with assault and the intent to commit murder. He was found guilty and sentenced to, quote, 2 months additional imprisonment and sentenced to pay a fine of $5, unquote. The Judge Lewis of that time was determined to set an example to all other murderers, thieves, and vagabonds. I find that a hoot. $5 was just
five whole bucks.
I don't even know what to say about that, but
goodness.
I thought that was interesting when I was reading a lot of this. The punishments they put on stuff was pretty interesting.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the vagabonds and hoodlums and all the names, it's pretty cute. I have, there is a ghost story here from, if you know Snohomish at all, you know Rebecca Dickinson's house. It's the big mansion. She's got a big, quote-unquote, haunted mansion. It's the only one in town that stands out very, very much. It's from 1886, and she's just she's a writer as well. She writes and illustrates children's books. But she was telling me, when I interviewed her the other day, last year, she told me the story that her friend told her that she didn't know until, the next day. So this is from the book. At times, Rebecca's antique piano would play. No one at the keys. Rebecca reports feelings of someone watching her when she is alone in the house. She promptly tells them, "Please stop watching me." They seem to oblige. Her favorite ghost story is from her sister, who is an engineer and does not believe in spirits. Okay, this is from her sister. The front door was the entry to the old payroll office, and Rebecca had nailed it shut until she could get it fixed. I had my children there, and I was picking them up late one night. She was going to leave the front door unlocked, but when I got there, Rebecca had possibly forgot because all the doors were locked. This was before the time of cell phones, so there really was no way to wake her up. I thought, all the doors are locked. How am I going to get my kids? I walked around the house in the dark and was getting a little frustrated because I just wanted to go home with my children and sleep. When I came back around to the side of the house where the front door was again, it was open. I figured Rebecca finally woke up and came down to unlock it for me. Then I went back to bed because it was so late. I was able to round all the kids up and off we went. The next day I called Rebecca and she said she never got up. Then she asked, "So how did you get in?" I told her that when I came back around to the house, the old payroll office door was wide open. She said, "Just a minute." Set the phone down. Apparently she went and checked on the front door, and yes, it was still nailed shut. I got goosebumps. But then we both decided that maybe it was just a friendly motherly spirit who was helping out and open the door so I could just gather my children. So I find that pretty interesting. It's an engineer, not that engineers don't believe in stuff, but they're a little more logically minded. And to have the physical proof of that door still being nailed shut, to me, that was pretty interesting.
Wow.
So that's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Fascinating. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think so. I have another quick one if you want it. Otherwise, we can do that in another spot.
No, I'd love to hear one more.
Go ahead.
Okay. As everybody knows, this is a short one. As everybody knows, Snohomish notoriously floods. Floods 1921, 1951, 1975. Thousands of head of livestock have died. 86, another horrible bout of flooding. 1990, another bout of flooding. It has done great things to try to stop flooding with dikes and various things now. But unfortunately, Snohomish has always been notoriously a flooding town. So this is a story I got from a gal who has now moved to Marysville, but she owned a little property right on the south side of Snohomish River, which is obviously a floodplain. But like I said, it doesn't flood anymore. So here's a story from Teresa, now living in Marysville. I used to live in Snohomish down by the train tracks across from the Snohomish River. I sold just before the last bad flood in 2006, I think it was. We had a couple horses on our property that kids used to ride. I know a lot of animals got killed during floods when the river would rise so fast that there wasn't even time to act, let alone save your animal, cattle, or horses. I heard the horrible stories about all the farm animals that have drowned in the floods here in the town, and it really makes me sad. The thing that sticks in my head happened sometime before the last bad flood hit. I was looking out my back window at the horses, sick of the rain, wish we could move. We've been having so much rain lately. When I could have sworn I saw a cow in the pasture with my horses. And again, there's thousands and thousands of cows that have unfortunately drowned. Back to the story. At first, I thought maybe a neighbor's cow got loose, and that happens now and then. But it was inside my pasture with my horses. I thought to myself, now how did that cow get in my pasture? Oh, I must have a broken fence. So I pulled my boots on, grabbed my raincoat, and headed out in the mud to the horse pasture. When I got closer, I didn't see a cow anywhere. Oh, I thought maybe they'd just moved on, so I decided to check the fence before my horses got out too and got it into the road or something. I walked the whole perimeter of the fence, and not one single area had a down wire or a broken board. I have no idea where the cow went or if it really was even ever there. I soon moved my horses to my friend's house up on the hill. I always wondered if that cow was just a spirit that had once been killed in a previous flood, and it was now warning me of the upcoming flood, the one that, and I needed to protect my animals. Sure enough, a few days later, Snohomish flooded that area, and she would have lost her horses. So I find that a very fascinating story as well. Who knows? But I find that pretty fascinating.
I love that.
Because she saved her horses.
I love that. I love thinking about, the spirits that animals have too, as well as humans. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Yep.
It is beautiful.
Yep. I love it.
Well, thanks so much. It's so nice of you, Deb, to share these stories with us on the podcast. And it makes me wonder, what's your favorite place to either read or hear ghost stories?
Everywhere. They all fascinate me. But there's nothing better for me than a creepy old mansion. I envy Rebecca for her lovely mansion. If you've ever been in it, you never want to leave. I owned a huge mansion in upstate New York, built in 1845. Sometimes I could not even be alone there. I just knew somebody was there with me. But old mansions are that's my thing.
Wow. Well, in mystery stories, characters and crimes are driven by motive, means, and opportunity. Are those the elements that drive a good haunting ghost story, or is it something else?
For me personally, I think it's the element of reality. You hear of a murder in a basement, then you go down there and you look around and you think, oh, creepy. Is that person still there, lurking, wanting revenge? Will they reach out and try to touch me? Will you hear their faint cry, help, help? The possibility that it is true to me is what makes it even scarier. In reference, a ghost's motive, revenge, forgiveness, the need to pass information, boredom, playfulness, we don't know, means, to me, the fact that they can muster up enough energy to communicate at all is incredible if you think about it. People all want to receive these signs, show me a sign for this and that from the other world. Then they're given these signs, whether it's a light blinking, an unexplained odor, a passage in a book, or a note that, just appears, the unshakable dream that they can't ignore or write off as coincidence. How would you feel if there were a ghost that went out of their way to try to help you or a loved one here on Earth and they were just ignored? Yeah. I think that would be very frustrating. Most of the time they want to help. They want resolution. They want to be heard. More times than not, they're ignored.
That's
with
true.
Mysteries, there's always an element of something to be solved. I think with ghost stories, it's the same thing. Ghosts have a reason to be haunting a place or a person. They just, they want that reason to be either solved or resolved. And I think that's why they do it.
Wow. Yeah. Is there you sound like such an expert. You've got so much experience in this field. Is there anything that still puzzles you about ghosts?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always wonder if they hang out in groups or solo. Do they cross generations? To me, I always wonder, okay, if you see one, is there 10? Do they talk? Do they go, let's go down to we're all bored, let's go down to the Oxford tonight and screw with some people. I mean, to me, that's what puzzles me. I would love to know. That's my eternal mystery.
Good point.
I mean, how boring it would be. You just sit there by yourself all the time for the rest of eternity. That'd be so boring.
Wouldn't it? Yeah. I'd rather go to a party, I think. Yeah.
Something, anything.
Well, now that your Haunted Snohomish book is out, I know you're busy with lots of book signings. You got a few local businesses as well as
Yep.
Woodinville Barnes and Nobles is this Saturday, the 29th from 1 to 4.
Yep.
So what's next? I mean, I know you're really busy with all those signings, but I bet you're on to other stories too.
I am. I've got another contract. We haven't come up with a title yet, but we're thinking either Ghosts of Washington's Cascade Foothills. So if anybody out there's got some great ghost stories or paranormal stories about Leavenworth or the surrounding areas, Twist, Winthrop, any of those on the Cascade Loop, that's my next story, or my next book. I'd love to have them. I'd also like to write Haunted Ithaca, which is upstate New York, which is my old hometown, Cornell University. And the history there is incredible, and the ghost stories are incredible. So those are my next goals. One's in the works for next year. Ithaca is probably the year after that.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking forward to those. So,
Me too.
I know you never stop. So is there anything else that you've got going on too?
Oh, lots. But I do have a local writers group, Snohomish Writers Group. It's on meetup.com. We've got quite a few members already. We haven't had our first meeting yet because I'm too busy, but we're shooting for, let's see, I want to say November 26th. Don't know where yet. Keep you posted. But, it's just kind of a local group for local writers like us to get together and hatch over ideas and just have some fun together. So more on that later, I guess.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. Yeah.
Super fun.
All right. Well, Julie, I have to ask you now. I've been talking to Deb for a while, and I know we both love Deb's stories, but have you got a book or a story recommendation for us with Halloween looming?
I do actually have a great book recommendation, and it's by a fairly well-known mystery author, Charlene Harris, who wrote the whole series of the Sookie Stackhouse novels, which were then turned into the True Blood television show series. But she has a new series out that's the first book in the batch is called Midnight Crossroad. It's a novel of midnight Texas, and it actually is more of a paranormal mystery, but again, it definitely has the overtones of a cozy mystery because it's set in a very tiny one stoplight kind of town out in the middle of nowhere, Texas. And some of the people in this town are rather strange. In fact, I feel certain that one of them is a witch, one is a vampire, and I know that one of them is an online psychic. So there's an interesting combination of people and a lot of backstory information that's sort of very gradually revealed as you read through the first novel. I know she's just completed the second one, I believe. But she's a very talented writer. She is great with dialogue and settings. And I highly recommend this book, which is called Midnight Crossroad by Charlene Harris.
Oh, that sounds good. I think I'm going to be ready for that this weekend.
Me too.
Well, I'm going to recommend a classic for Halloween, Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart. So I was rereading it the other night. It was published in 1843, so there's your historical. It's a Gothic short story mystery. And what, of course, I really love, and I don't want to give away too much for anybody who hasn't read it, you're going to just love this short story. But the author is using a device of an unreliable narrator as one of the ways to heighten the tension. And it's a really interesting way for the reader to be savvy about trying to understand a character and to discern the motive, the means, and the opportunity. So, yeah, I definitely will recommend that for this weekend. Or actually for any time if you want some chills. So, I think we're just going to have to get going now because I haven't bought my trick-or-treat candy yet, so I got to get out there. I got to
get into town too. I'm meeting a bunch of people down at Prison Break Brew who the owner called me and says it's definitely haunted, so get on down there tonight, everybody.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Deb, this has been such a fun discussion. Thanks for bringing a ghostly edge to today's Kendall and Cooper Talking Mysteries. And a big thank you
Thank
to
you, girls.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And a big thank you to everybody who's listening. Julie, now that I know some more about the little town of Snohomish, I'm thinking also maybe I should head back out there to the Snowtown Brewery and see what I can see for myself.
Well, after all this talk of ghostly happenings, I think I might go with you. You know what they say about safety in numbers? But thanks so much for joining us for Kendall and Cooper Talking Mysteries. Take care.
And here comes our exit music. I know you all love The Man in the Panama Hat.